How do you feel about experience management? Each and every company is actually searching for the one idea and for the one feeling that makes or breaks a company, makes or breaks your business, makes or breaks your industry. We are working with many companies, like for example Adidas, on the technology of 3D printing. What does this really mean towards industries, towards your business, towards the processes behind this? So imagine this thing will be really cheap and you can place this in your living room. And what you have to do is you don't have to go anymore to the stores to pick up your favorite sneaker, but what you can actually do is print the sneaker at your home. And what will happen is that Adidas, for example, will not have production lines anymore. They won't have warehouses. They won't have distributions. And there's even the question if they will have stores in the future, because you can just download the file from the internet, put it on your 3D printer at home and print your own sneakers. So those are business models that we're talking about with customers in reality. And even if you think that those things are just happen for big companies, I will tell you this one. Everybody recognize Kielce in Warsaw or in Poland. So Kielce is more or less in the middle of nowhere in Poland, and they had a huge shopping mall there. So I went into the shopping mall, and this is what I saw. There's a store. It looks like this, and I was like, oh, this is fancy. Like they have those TV screens, and I was looking in there, and I thought, okay, what is this store actually about? It's a shoe store. So what you do is you get into the store, and the first thing that you do is you scan your feet. And based on your feet scanning, what they actually do is they recognize, or they give you the opportunity to go then to one of their tablets and show you the exact shoes that fits to your specific feet. This is how they personalize their items in the store towards your needs. And what you see in the background there is a fully automated warehouse. So you pick on the iPad, for example, a specific shoe, and somebody from the staff will then bring the shoe to you. And what they do is actually they now have the time to really focus on you as a customer, to talk with you. Why is this shoe fitting and why isn't it? And why should you choose another shoe, for example? And this is what we call the experience gap. This is what happens to businesses. This is when you as a company think, hey, I'm fine with my products, with my distribution channels, with my customers, they are buying my stuff, but the customers actually realize that there's a gap between their needs and what you as a company actually delivers. And this becomes even more important as we live in a world which we call the experience economy, where you do not just sell products based on the function features or the price or whatever it is about the product or the color or the packaging or whatever. It is about the experience behind this product. People are actually switching brands based on the experience they have with those brands. Like if you have a bad experience with the specific brands, it's likely that you won't buy again from them, right? So this is actually, when we talk about the experience gap, this is the innovation potential for company nowadays. Figuring out, okay, what is happening in this world and how can I actually do something about this? How can I realize this potential between what I'm thinking I do for my customers and what the customers actually experience? And all of those companies that we have out there in the world, they are doing nothing else. And the interesting fact is that you're still driving taxi. The interesting fact is that you're still booking homes or hotel rooms. The interesting fact is that you still listen to music and still watching TV. But what they did is actually they put the human and the need of the human into the center and the center of their universe and making it the center of their decisions, to figuring out what is it that my customer actually needs and where's the gap. When do you actually figure out, okay, there's a gap happening with my customers? Where you normally figure it out is in the operational data. This is where in your systems, in your SAP systems, the sales force going down. Or for example, the inventory turnover. Or for example, your EBIT is shrinking, or your margin is shrinking. And then you're figuring out, okay, there is something happening in my business, and this is why I now have to focus on where is this coming from. And this is too late, because the gap already existed. The customers are already not buying your stuff anymore, and this is why it's getting reflected in your operational data. So what we do with experience management is putting another category on this, which is the X data, which is all about the experience of our customers, which is all about the questions, were you satisfied? Would you promote this company, this service, this product to a friend? And where can we improve? So it's actually like the crystal bubble, looking into the future, looking into what does this really mean for my industry, for my business? What's the future of my business? This is what we're doing. And the question is now, how can you win in this experience economy? What do you have to do to really succeed in this new environment? So what you have to do is figuring out, why are people actually buying your stuff? And why wouldn't they? What you have to figure out is, why do people work with me and for my company, and why wouldn't they? And even more, how can I improve on this? What are the gaps that I don't see because I'm blind? And what we try to do is actually put feelings as the foundation of your business decisions, to bring a whole new category up for this. So what are feelings? Feelings are nothing else than the moments that matters for you. All of those moments that changing your perception onto a specific thing. And it can happen everywhere. It can happen when you sit in an airplane looking out in the window thinking about something, and there it makes clicks. Or it can be when you're on the way to or when you commute to work, or when you talk to your children, or when you cook something. All those moments can matter for you. And what we have to say is that when you're figuring out those moments that matters for your customers, this is where you can close the experience gap, and this is your competitive advantage in your industry. Because when you're figuring this out, either for your company or for all the other companies that you're competing with, this is your sweet spot. This is where your business gets to the next level. So the question is, how do we do this? What's our answer to this? And our answer to this is experience management. And this is mainly based on actually understanding the feelings of our customers, understanding what they are actually really thinking. And I want to give you an example why this matters. So this is United. Anybody here flew with United? A few. So I flew 2 times with them, and I had such a bad experience with them. So it was a transatlantic flight, like 13 hours, and they didn't have this entertainment system. There was no entertainment system, and nobody told me in the beginning that I could have downloaded their app to actually have an entertainment system. So I sat in the airplane 13 hours, and I decided, okay, I will never take this airline again. And they have a history on this. They have a history, for example, on bad experience. So what have they? Their problem was actually, they sold a product, or they oversold the product. So they sold more tickets than they could actually have seats in an airplane. So they had a problem with their product. And this led to a problem with the employees, because those employees were sitting at the gate, and all of those customers, angry customers, were coming and saying, yeah, I want to board on this airplane. And there was one lady then saying, because she was so fed up with this whole situation, because it happened all the time, that she said, okay, go into the airplane. I don't care. Go in there, make your own experience, whatever. And what happened is, this is what we all know, the video that went viral, where they take this guy who wanted just to have his seat that he paid for, took him out of the airplane and beat him up. And what happened then is, it became a real brand issue. So one single gap in the products lead to a gap in the employee experience, which lead to a gap in the customer experience, which lead to a gap in the brand experience. And this damaged the company. So it's really important to be aware of, okay, what are my gaps and what is actually happening in my business? What can we do about this? Like what kind of thing do we have to use to actually make feelings reliable, rational, and put them at the basis of our business decisions? So this is where we came up with this whole new category of experience management, where we have one platform to actually gather all those feelings and make it reliable for your business, to make it really understandable that this is more or less the steering control system for your company. So the first thing is we're actually gathering the data from all different sources. We can gather whatever, social media channels, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all of those channels. We can include SMS, WeChat, emails, normal surveys, to gather all of those data together, to bring it into one system that you have one holistic view about your business and the customers that are actually asking or giving you feedback. The second thing that we do is actually we organizing those data into a system where you have a history about the consumer or the customer and who actually asked him which question and which action item related out of it. And the third thing that you see down here is actually to understand what does this data really means for my business. What is it really that I can figure out of this data, and then closing the loop into action items. To close the loop into, based on these feelings, based on the data I get into the system, I'm doing specific actions. And this is what we can see here. So it all starts in this directory where I gather all my data together. It shows me the history of my customer. It shows me, okay, on which channel we're actually working with this customer together, like what's the preferred channel. And out of those data, I can actually build up a customer journey. I can build up the touch points, that the moments that matters for this specific customer. And then I can realize on each one of those touch points, okay, what's happening there? Gathering all the data together to have one single view and a really easy way to consume this data and to really figuring out, okay, where's my gap and what to do about this gap. All of this for sure for the specific rules that you need. Like for example, if you have a frontline manager, for example, or whatever. And the thing is now, this is working, but the question is, like, how do you scale this? Like, what if you have like here 10,000 comments or 2 million comments on Facebook? How do you read this? And for this, we're using machine learning to actually use sentiments analysis to predict, okay, what is told in this comment and how does it relate back to your business? Is it more positive? Is it more negative? And what does this really mean in the context of this whole comment? And what does it really mean in the context of your industry or your specific business processes? And what you can figure out is actually the drivers about what's going on in your business and where to improve and on which steps you can really ingest and really do something about it. And what we're talking about here is more or less the democratization of data analysis for each and everybody. So in former times, you needed to have somebody who can do data analysis, somebody who are familiar with statistics. And with this here, you can actually enable each and everybody in your company to use this thing to figure out, okay, what's in the feedback of my customers? Because it gives you a simple English sentence about all the stuff which is under this. All the data, like look, this is like 100,000 data points. 100,000 data points of feedback. And this thing is calculating for you what does it really mean for your business. And we're using these capabilities for 4 things, which is, coming back to the United example, which is the product, the customer, the employee, and the brand. This is where we ingest the experience management to figuring out, okay, what's happening there? What's the future in those respects? And how can I actually do something about it? This new world in there gives you a totally different aspect of your business, giving you the opportunity to really understand your market, your customers, putting this into the operational system to really act on it, and then figuring out, okay, am I on the right track? Do I actually see some value out of this? Do I see results? Is the perception of my customers actually changing, or do I have to do something else?